Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. We have an absolutely insane group of deals this week. Honestly, I think that this is way better than the Black Friday set. The Black Friday set obviously had the upper hand in quantity, but when it comes to quality of extremely well-reviewed games, I think that this week knocks it out of the park. So let's jump right into these games and I will give you my top picks. First of all, we have Katana Zero. It is currently matching its previous low, 40% off, bringing it down to $8.99. Katana Zero is by far one of the best 2D action games on the Switch. It is an absolutely frenetic, super high-octane experience full of all kinds of great bullet time mechanics, and it's also got this crazy story that deals with time travel and mind-altering drugs. It's fantastic. By far, one of my favorite action games on the Switch. It sits at an 83 on Metacritic, and it absolutely deserves to be reviewed that well. You should definitely consider adding Katana Zero. Next, we have Tetris Effect Connected. It's at its lowest price ever, 50% off, bringing it down to $19.99. Obviously, I don't need to tell you much about Tetris, but if you really need to understand why this game is so great, the best advice I could give you would be to find some no commentary gameplay, turn down the lights in your room, watch it on a big screen TV, and crank up the volume. You will understand almost immediately what makes Tetris Effect Connected so special. It really is all about its amazing audio and visual presentation. In fact, I would honestly say VR is the best way to play Tetris Effect, but if you don't have access to it, the Switch is a really good second place. And in fact, on the OLED screen in particular, it really just pops. So definitely consider adding Tetris Effect. The Takeover is currently at its lowest price ever, 85% off, bringing it down to only a mere $2.99. Again, lowest price ever for the Takeover. I think that this personally for me is probably in my top 10 favorite beat 'em ups on the Switch. It has an absolutely amazing art style, especially in motion. I always kind of felt like when I first looked at this game in screenshots, I wasn't that excited, but once you see it moving and the way it looks in motion, it really is, it's just amazing. It looks like a comic book come to life. There's a lot of variety in the gameplay. There's even a few chase sequences in the game where you get to actually do like a little bit of vehicle combat, so that really kind of breaks up the basic beat 'em up gameplay. And I think my favorite mechanic in this game is that you carry a sidearm. So you can always just collect ammo for it, and anytime you're getting sick of an enemy, you can go all Indiana Jones on them and just pull out that gun and just waste them instead of having to keep going on with the normal beat 'em up gameplay. Spelunky 2 is currently 50% off, bringing it down to only $9.99. Definitely by far its lowest price ever. This game is insanely well reviewed. It sits at a 92 on Metacritic. It's one of the best reviewed games on all of the Switch, and it is very well deserving. The Spelunky games are roguelike platforming adventure games, but be forewarned, they are tough as nails despite their cute appearance. But I cannot deny how rewarding both of the Spelunky games are. You'd be happy to pick up either of them, but it's great that the second one is on sale right now. It has co-op up to 4 players, so you could even get some friends in and really go crazy against each other. Disco Elysium, the final cut, it's currently 50% off for $19.99, matching its previous low price. I haven't personally played a Disco Elysium, but I know everyone says it is absolutely a watershed moment for Western-style RPGs. It currently sits at an 86 on Metacritic, so it's extremely well reviewed. I know the Switch port is very solid, doesn't have too much of a graphical downgrade from its PC counterpart, so I think that the Switch is still a really great way to play this, and I know for me, I'm very tempted to finally pick it up on this sale. Death's Door, it's currently 50% off for only $9.99, also matching its previous low. Death's Door, it's rounding its 1-year anniversary on the Switch right now. By far, one of the best games of last year. This is a sort of Zelda-like action-adventure game where you play as a crow, and your job is to basically retrieve spirits that are refusing to move on to the life to come. So you're sort of this soul reaper. It is another really difficult game, but again, it's very super rewarding. The combat is very simple to grasp, but very hard to master. Just another one of my absolute favorites on the Switch. Hades, the almighty Hades, is now at its lowest price ever, only $12.49. That is 50% off, by far its lowest price ever. If you checked out the Game Awards, you do know that they just announced Hades 2, so it couldn't be a better time to pick this up so you can see what all the fuss is about. It sits at a 93 on Metacritic. Again, this is another one of the absolute best review games on Switch, and for good reason. As far as a top-down hack and slash roguelike. You really almost can't get better than Hades. The combat is fluid, it feels amazing, it runs fantastic on the Switch. You really aren't gonna have to deal with any sort of major downgrade from going to this version. So if you haven't picked up Hades yet, it could not be a better time to pick it up than right now. Stardew Valley, it's 33% off for only $9.99. Not quite its lowest ever, but I think its lowest ever was only like $9.50, so only 50 cents off from its previous low. Of course, Stardew Valley, super well reviewed, an 87 on Metacritic, and for good reason. This is just such an addictive farm simulation game. In fact, this is such a great farm simulation game that it honestly kind of has ruined any other farm simulators for me. Every time I've played any other game that tries to mimic what Stardew Valley has done, I kind of just find myself feeling like I would rather go back to Stardew Valley. And I really would like to actually start another run. There's different kinds of farms you can start out. You got the traditional one. I really want to try out the one that actually has a river going through it. I've never tried that one, so that you can fish right on your farm. I think that would be a lot of fun. So if you haven't tried Stardew Valley, I don't know what your problem is, what you're waiting on, but now is a great time to pick it up. It does not go on sale very often. Portal Companion Collection, it's getting its first sale ever, and it's a fairly aggressive one. It's 33% off, bringing it down to $13.39. Obviously, like I said, first sale, so it's lowest ever. What can I say about Portal? They're maybe the best first-person puzzle games ever made. They are the best first-person puzzle games ever made. This Portal Companion Collection is currently sitting at a 96 on Metacritic. It's a fantastic port on the Switch. Both games are amazing. I mean, of course, the first one, it was a changing moment in video game history for what we thought was possible for a first-person perspective game. And then the second one only built upon that with an even deeper and more engaging story and characters. I just can't imagine missing out on these. If you're any type of gamer who wants to know what the best there is available, you've got to check out the Portal Companion Collection. Untitled Goose Game is currently 50% off for $9.99, matching its previous low. You get to play as a goose, and you get to pester people while solving little puzzle scenarios. And you can play co-op up to 2 people, so you can pester them with 2 geese together at the same time. It's absolutely silly, fun, it's just real breezy, quick and easy to get into. Really no high stress factor. It's just such a fantastic game. Everyone should definitely strongly consider Untitled Goose Game as part of their collection. Hyper Light Drifter Special Edition, it's currently 45%, only $10.99 on the Switch. An absolutely amazing top-down action adventure game. Again, they're kind of a bit of a Zelda-like game. Runs at a silky smooth 60 frames per second on the Switch. It sits at an 88 on Metacritic for the Switch port. It is an amazing Switch port. I had never actually played Hyper Light Drifter until it came to the Switch. I was completely glued to it. It's such a hard game to describe, partially because of the fact that there really isn't any spoken dialogue. It's all kind of told in images and pictures. But if you haven't tried out Hyper Light Drifter, definitely check out some gameplay. I think that you would like what you see if you are into a cryptic sort of adventure action game. Celeste, it's currently 75% off, bringing it down to a measly $4.99. It sits at a 92 on Metacritic. Again, man, this sale is non-stop best reviewed games on Switch. I cannot believe if you don't have any of these games, you're gonna have a real tough time deciding, but Celeste is an amazing option if you like precision platformers. Do know though, there's actually a lot of adjustments you can make that if you're kind of scared off by a precision platformer, to make it just tweak it just to make it a little bit easier. So the game can be as hard as you want it to be. It can be a lot easier if you want it to be. Actually, has a really nice story following a young lady as she's sort of wrestling with some mental health issues. I know that doesn't sound like the most fun for a game premise, but the way it's presented here, it has a very sort of ethereal and kind of spiritual kind of way it deals with it, and it's very strange and unique, and it definitely hooks you, very much so. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. I have been wanting to pick this up for a long time, and it just kept staying at the same sale price every time. Finally, it's hit a new lowest price, 60% off, only $15.99. Another super well-reviewed game, an 85 on Metacritic. So $15.99 for the base version. You can also pick up the deluxe version. That is also $19.99, which is also its lowest price ever. That basically just adds a little bit more cosmetic DLC, including some options within the customized creative character that isn't available in the base version. So whether or not you care about that kind of stuff, you could probably just get the base version. But if you really want that kind of stuff, you'll want to pick up the deluxe version. I'm not going to tell you about Tony Hawk Pro Skater. You probably know what it is. But again, a very well-reviewed port to the Switch. Hollow Knight, it's currently 50% off. only $7.50. One of the best reviewed games ever, sits at a 90 on Metacritic. You've probably never heard of Hollow Knight. It's just a little indie game that no one really knows anything about. But if you're not familiar, it's possibly the best Metroidvania ever made. And I know there are going to be people that's going to really bristle the hairs on the back of the neck because they probably have their own personal favorite Metroidvania. And I gotta say, I don't think Hollow Knight is my personal favorite, but I think from a critical standpoint, I wouldn't bat an eye at anyone who says this is the best one ever made. The platforming is amazing, the combat super engaging, all kinds of customizability, all kinds of new upgrades. It's super addictive, and the game has this amazing lore and world to discover and explore. At the very least, Hollow Knight is an absolutely essential pickup on this list. I think this one, maybe like Stardew Valley, are the two ones that everyone should have in their collection. And finally, I want to give a little shout out to the game Buddy Simulator 1984. It is getting its first ever post launch sale, $6.99, 30% off. That is its lowest price ever. The publisher sent me a copy of this game a while back. I didn't get a chance to do an actual video on it, but I absolutely adore it. I'm not super into horror games, and technically this is one, but it's more of like a weird, sort of creepy 1980s throwback game. So it starts out as sort of like an MS-DOS game where it's like text-based, but it keeps morphing into something else, and the game itself is basically communicating with you. So it's sort of like the game is becoming sentient and trying to mess with you. Really cool, really weird. I definitely give it a wholehearted recommendation. Honestly, at $10, it was already a good deal. At $6.99, it's a definite pickup that you should consider if you like creepy, weird games. All right, all you Switch fans, I really hope you enjoyed this content. I will have an upcoming $5 focus deal video and a $2 focus deal video coming up. So make sure you're subscribed with notifications on so you do not miss that future content. So until next time, I hope you have great gaming. Bye-bye.